Hi guys, I am Nicolas Mavresis.
And I'm David Jonathan.
Welcome to the explanation of extrasensory prediction. Now this trick is, I think it's the perfect packet trick for us. It ticks all the boxes. Yeah. It's quick, visual, and very commercial. Every choice that the spectator makes will always be revealed the exact same way. So there are no multiple outs. They're always going to see the exact same outcome, right?
Yeah, so in other words, it's always going to be revealed the best way, which is having it spell out on the backs of the cards. So it's not like we're just showing you the best case scenario. It plays out that strongest way every single time, and that's what makes this so good, because it all looks exactly the same performance.
And don't forget, it features our TMP principle. Right?
Yes, principle we're very proud of and happy to debut here. So maybe we should just get into what that's all about and how this works.
Yep.
Make sense? All right. So let's dive into the TMP principle and what this actually is and how this works. So when you received in your packet is these what appear to be 5 cards, but in reality it's 9. So let's keep them in order. They're in the standard circle, cross, wavy line, square, star. But these are roughed in a very special way that you're probably not used to. So let's just understand how these cards are set up first, and we'll explain how this works. So let's just lay them out in order here, and I'm going to split them. So you don't have to do this at home, but if you want, you can follow along. So just peel apart the cards in the center here, and I'll just place them here in this little grid for now, just so you can see exactly how this is constructed. So maybe keep your set as it is, and you'll just understand this visually so you don't get this screwed up. So in our top row here, we have 5 cards and 4 in the bottom. The top rows all have blue on the back. This spells you will pick the, and then we have our outcomes here. So these cards in this row, including the circle, all self-identify. So the cross has a cross on the back. Wavy lines has wavy lines. Square, and star. All right? So the way they're assembled here is with the blue cards on top. We'll just place this aside for now since it has a red back in this row. And then the reds just go on top. So U and star pair together. And it will come this way, but if not, just make sure the orientation of the words is the same. So U and star are facing the same way. Square goes on top of the will. Wavy lines goes on top of the pick, and cross goes on top of the, and then when we rough them together, you have the whole set here. So the way that they're roughed is a little bit interesting here and different, as I said. So only this top row is rough. So just if I pull these cards back, these 4 cards here, or 5 if we include the circle in this grouping, all the red-backed cards are not roughed at all. The only cards that have roughing, and again, I'll explain what that is in a second, is these blue-backed cards, and they're only just here and here, all right? So just about maybe 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters in the center, there's a little dab here and a little dab here, and the same on these as so. And what this is a special type of roughing, which is this. So this is not a rough and smooth. It's not a roughing stick. It's not roughing spray. This is surf wax, and actually this brand is called Sex Wax. There's nothing sexual about it, so don't worry when that shows up in your Amazon card as sex wax. People won't judge you, but it's literally to rough on a surfboard, and this is incredible for cards or packet tricks like this. So we're going to put a link on the screen right here for an Amazon link where you can get this. It's very cheap. You don't have to, but if ever over time you just have to retouch any cards, you'll have that at your disposal, and it's like a hockey puck the size of this. It lasts eternity.
It's worth saying that we did try lots of different brands. We tried, roughing stick and roughing spray, but nothing worked quite as that one.
Yeah, I think you guys are really going to love this because this is very different from a typical roughing stick. So when you apply it here, you just do like 2 little short dabs. And we'll get into that in the maintenance section later on, but that is how these are applied. So let me just show you here that if I take one of these and then press them together just at the top and just at the bottom, you'll see this acts as a single card. It does not want to split at all. But because it's only treated in these 2 parts here, If I take it in the middle and push off in the center, then they split. So it really, for all intents and purposes, acts as a single card. You can toss it around whatever you like, and whenever you need to, you can split it. And that's thanks to the property here, which again, you can't really do in another type of roughing stick or spray or any of the nature. Now, the reason why some of these are the way they are here, that'll make sense later when you see that's a retention principle. So for now, let's just explain how this works. And I understand how the cards are set up. And to explain the TMP principle, it's best to show you just with these two cards here for now. So what we have is a 1 and a 2. Now, the 2 card has an X on the back. And this is a roughed pair, all right? So that's blank on the face for now. Don't worry about that. But now the 2 has an X. So double or roughed pair, single card. But if we were to invisibly switch this, and then this becomes the roughed pair, well, now the 2 is blank on the back, and the 1 has an X. So what this is basically an interchangeable roughed pair, where we have a single card and a pair, yet at our disposal, we can choose which one becomes the pair and which one becomes the single.
Yeah, and we didn't tell them what TMP stands for.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Take my place. So it's exactly what this card does. It takes the place, right, of...
The 1 takes the place of the 2, and then that becomes the pair. Exactly. So that is exactly what's going on with these. So imagine that 1 and 2 is the same as the circle and the cross. This has a blue back, this has a red back. Yet if I switch these here and just press in, now this has a red back and this has a blue back. All right. So basically with TMP, it takes the place and it controls the property of the back of the cards. Now, we're just doing that with additional cards here. So now we have 4 roughed pairs and 1 single card. And the basic method is the single card is always going to take the place and then reveal the identity, which spells out in the back. So we can get into that handling.
Yeah, if it sounds confusing, just follow the process. Yeah. Trust the process, basically.
You don't have to know why this works. I just want to sort of set that up in the front. But this is extremely easy to do and perform, and you guys are going to love it. So maybe we should just get into the handling and how this all works.
Sure, yeah.
So one of the things we just wanted to emphasize with the TMP principle is that this is kind of a distant cousin of the stranger card plot, but it's different. And what this solves here is what makes this special. So if you're not familiar with the stranger card plot, I'm talking about like, just to say the standard method, you have a blue deck of cards with a red back duplicate on top with like double stick tape. They name any card. You take that card out, place it on top of the deck, and then that sticks to the red back card. You say, look, you chose the only red back card in a blue deck. The problem with that is the one card that's different is the one card they can't examine. The rest of the deck that they don't care about, they can't examine. What TMP does is the one special card that they named is the card they can examine, and the others you can't. And what's also neat about this is that this also cleans up any discrepancies, because with other similar rough and smooth applications where, let's say you didn't have the single card and you split a pair here and showed this odd back and showed these to be blue backed, the problem is that that doesn't always work with this because you don't have the same amount of cards as you normally would, because when you split a pair here, the fact that this takes the place means that when this goes and you can reveal this, you still have 5 cards in total, right? Whereas in other versions, you may then have an extra card, because if you did this and split the pair, well, then there's 1 more card than there should be. So for example, I have 4 cards here. Let's say there was no circle, and we split this, so that's the card they chose. Well, now I have 5 cards. Yeah.
And
so
the most important, again, is that they can examine that card. The hit is on that card they get. So that's the main, that's the important thing about this principle.
Exactly. So in other words, this effect is only possible with the TMP system because it cleans up the extra card discrepancy, because everything would then spell out the same way. So that's what sort of sets this apart from other versions here, and that's why we're so proud of this principle, as it is quite versatile, and it solves and cleans up a lot of the issues that other versions of similar things have had in the past.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into how this actually works. So You're going to set up here by having the 5 cards in standard ESP order, so circle, cross, wavy line, square, and star. And I always like to start for my handling with when the cards are facing me, U is facing this way on the bottom. So in other words, I have U, and you want to make sure that all these are in the same orientation. So I know that, again, if I were to flip it over N, and I'm looking down, U is like this. So hopefully that makes sense. But one thing that you can do, which I do here, is I just put a little pencil dot in the top corner here of the card here, which may or may not show up in camera, but that's so I don't even have to look at the bottom. I just know whether it's the correct orientation or not, and that'll just help for the reveals later on. So you start by saying, you know, I'm just going to show you 5 different symbols here. You show the circle. Make sure not to flash any of the backs. Cross, wavy lines, square, or star. I keep these spread here and say, I just want you to think of one of these right now. Then I close it up and say, you got it, and then they say yes. Now, the reason that's important is because I don't want you to say, think of one of these right now, then they say the cross or the wavy lines, and then I close it up and then spread to it. That's just not natural. If they said the wavy lines, I would just cut my hands to that naturally. So the reason that it's important to say, I just have 5 symbols here, think of one of these right now. All right, you got it, great. Now which one are you thinking of? Now it makes sense for the procedure that's about to happen. So I'm going to walk through every scenario in a minute, but let's say they said circle. Well, because this is the easiest, you do nothing. It's already built up to reveal that. So you just say, oh, circle right here. You place this down and say, wouldn't it be amazing if I knew that you would pick the circle? In fact, I predicted it on the back. And then I turn it over and it shows circle, and you say, see, nailed it. It's a funny joke that gets a laugh. And then you say, okay, you're leading them down the garden path here. You probably think there's something written on the backs of all these. Well, there is, and they think that this will say cross, wavy line, square, and star, just like this. But then you show, I wrote that you will pick the circle. So obviously the circle is the best out because you do nothing. It's built up to reveal that from the start. And again, look at the fair nature of this where you're just tossing these cards on the table. So there's really no heat on these, which is great. And this card, the red card that they always get, is always examinable, which is fantastic because this can be in their hand and that's where all the heat is. And they never want to examine these because for, again, all intents and purposes, these are single cards. Yep. So that is the circle, which of course is the easiest outcome. But now let's take a look at every other scenario. So if they chose the cross, then you just move the circle over, and then you're going to have to split this pair, okay? So there's a couple ways to do this that we'll get into. In my handling, I like to do this one-handed because it just looks the most natural. So the way that I'm holding the cards is kind of like this. It's really just held between, what is that called, the crotch of your thumb?
Yeah.
It's a weird way to call that, but or your palm. But it's kind of the fleshy part of your hand here and my middle finger. So it's really just held like this. And I'm going to buckle. And I'm going to push off in the middle. Because remember, it's only roughed at the top and the bottom. So if I push off in the middle, I'm not pushing against where that wax is. So my middle finger is here as resistance. So now I can buckle the cards. And I'm basically pushing like this against my middle finger. And once that goes here, it's now split, all right? Because you can see that's the single card. So again, let's just pair it here. Not the circle, you went for the cross. I buckle, I split. Now this is optional, but I even pencil dot every blue card here. So if that shows up in the camera, you'll see that I have a little pencil dot there, and that just confirms that I split the single card, because once I see that dot there, I know that I'm good. I can throw that to the table. Now check out this beautiful retention. They see the wavy lines here, which is next in the sequence. But thanks to TMP, the circle goes back on top. And now I just casually press here. And when I spread, that's not the wavy line you just saw. The wavy line you just saw is here. Yeah. But that's how TMP cleans up everything. So we can show that in a second here, but let's just continue with the reveal first. So now I can spread here, or show this as the cross. And now it's the same exact thing with the 4 cards here. You will pick the cross. Then to reset, you would just drop these in order. grab them here. And now you're always just going to split the circle and swap that with the top card. And you can do that openly in front of your audience because you just do this and it's done.
Yeah, I mean, there's another way to split the card the way that I do it. It's, you know, if they choose the cross.
Yeah.
You take it, and now the way I do it.
Well, we should point out you're a lefty, so you're holding everything in reverse.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's good for lefties. So you can also see this example. So I go with my middle finger. Sorry about that. And I split. I do this, and this goes. I don't like to bagel. That's just me.
Okay. So you do it two-handed, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay.
While holding the card like so.
So you want to show it again?
Yeah. I do this, and then I go at the. Let me show you the exposed version. So I go with my middle finger, and I just lift up, and I get that card. Now this goes here, and that's it. That's it. I press, obviously, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But that's the way I split. I don't like to bagel the cards. But you should mention that when you do bagel the cards, then you can.
Oh, yeah,
do
how I
outwards.
blow it back.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say I did buckle this here to split this. When this goes back on top, not only do I press in, which, by the way, I do that a little bit secretly. I don't want to be. That's a little obvious. So as I point to this card, I press in at the top. I just reposition, do this as I'm doing gestures. But I also take my finger at the bottom here, my knuckle, and bend the card back up. So that way your cards don't get, I don't know if it's concave or convexed over time, but it just makes them straight again and sort of takes any bow out of it.
Yeah, but it needs a bit of practice, a bit of knack to do this and, split with your middle finger. But, I'm used to that, and I prefer that over backing the cards. But as David said, if you do this, they can go back to their original shape, and that should be fine.
Yeah, so do what's comfortable for you. It's very easy, whether it's easier to split it one-handed or two-handed. Just takes a little bit of practice, but this isn't like a real knacky type move. It's just pushing off with pressure. But you want to show the retention?
I'll use our prototype set, right?
Yeah.
So this is not the set you are getting. So take the marker. Let's say they went for the cross. Now, when I split, see that needed a bit more roughing because it's the prototype set.
Sure.
So everything looks normal here.
Yeah.
Now, can you just scribble something here? So they
camera in the white spot a little better. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what they see. When I place that card on top and I push, now that's not the one that you just saw, of course, because there's nothing on it. That's it. So it looks perfect. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's a great vanish, too.
Yeah.
Not intended purpose, but...
Shall we move
so let's go through every scenario. So you saw the circle, you saw the cross, and the only thing you have to really remember here is just reverse counting, because the circle is always going to be the one that takes the place. So in order to get that to the bottom, we just reverse count. So if they chose the wavy lines, we say not the circle, not the cross, and that automatically positions this at the bottom, ready to take the place. So again, I would do my buckle move. I split this here, and then this just drops on top. Remember, with the circle now going on to our open roughed pair. Again, my little corner dot here helps me know that. I press in. You can show this here as the wavy lines. And then again, when I spread these here and go to the reveal, it's you will pick the wavy lines, all right? And again, I mean, it's the same exact outcome every single time, and that's what makes this so strong, where, if we were to design this packet trick, that would be like the ideal out, and this is the out you get every time. That's why it's really not a multiple out.
Yeah,
it's just...
I mean, when we create multiple out tricks, some of them are strong, some other not so much, but here you get to have the strongest out every time, if you think about it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So again, to reset here, I just split this, so I cover this over, and then just swap the places of these two, and just do a quick press and a quick press, and you're good to go again. Yeah. So let's go down to, these three are always going to be the same, the circle, the cross, and the wavy lines. It gets slightly different with the square and the star. So let's get into that right now. So let's talk about, they say, the square. So again, reverse count. So not any of these, you wanted the square. With this, I feel a little bit risky doing the buckle split because that time it worked, but you might get this and they see 2 cards after that, which they shouldn't. So just to make sure, I mean, if you want to practice that, you can. But for this version, I hold this here. I do this a little bit differently, so I sort of like down jog these cards, and then I just come in with a clean hand like this. I can just lift up and split that here. And then this is supposed to be 1 card. That's why we don't want to show this here, and this just drops on top. So now I can press in here, but here's where it gets a little bit different, because if I were to reveal this right now, it will be you will the pick. So the only time we have to worry about this is with the square. Once we're in this position, we just reverse the top 2, so the wavy lines and the square and the cross switch. Yeah. So now we can show square, and you will pick the.
Yeah, and you do that in the action of saying you could have picked that and that, and then you just swap the 2 cards, the positions, right?
Yeah. So again, you could have went for any one of these, right? It's just as simple as that, and then you're set up for the reveal.
It's not a move or anything like that. It's just displaying the cards, and you just casually swapping the top 2 cards.
And then again, it's the same thing for the reset. We just swap the 2 places of the circle and the cross, and we're back and reset and ready to go. So, I mean, as you can hopefully see, this is such a worker because you're always set up here. It's a quick reset. It's like everything about this really checks every box, and that's why we love performing this.
I mean, I reset in front of the spectators. No one notices anything.
Exactly. You don't have to turn around, anything like that. So let's get into the last scenario here, which is the star. Again, slightly different. So here, we're just going to reverse count everything, and the star goes back on top. Now I would just take that off to the table here, and from this position here, all I have to do is move the circle back to the top. So I do like a little push off here because I don't want to show this, obviously, but I just say, and remember, you could have chose any one of these, and that goes back to the top here, and then I can just press in.
What you can do is also slide the bottom card. What I do is slide and place it right here.
Yeah, but we just say, I mean, again, you could have chose any of these. Just make it a little gesture.
Yeah.
And then you're ready to reveal, but you're not going to do the same because this is reversed, all right? So basically what we do here is I flip this over. I'm here. I do this one at a time. I say, look, it says you will pick the. But you get the idea.
You can also do that. So we are at that situation. We split. We place the circle, and we do this. Now you can reveal you, but while you say to them, just turn over the card, you can casually reverse count again, and now you can turn over this and display. You do your final display, not like so.
So however you want, just know that it's going to be, instead of the bottom, you will pick the, it's you will pick the in this order here. While you reset, I can talk about the in the hands version. So we are all set here, back how we were. Yep. And if we were to do this in the hands...
Let's do the circle. I mean, let's say they chose the circle, so we don't have to reset every time. So you can show in the hands.
So in the hands, I pick the circle, so you hand this to me, because we have no table.
Yeah. Now, what I do, I hold the cards like so. So I want them to see, and I want this configuration. I want, they turn over the card. So they turn over the card, they see circle, right?
Yeah.
It's like so. Now, I will turn over these cards. I will push. Now, I will put this card on top of that card and then push. Now they will see you will pick the. Okay.
Yeah, sort of pointing to complete.
Yeah, so in real time, it's this. Okay.
Perfect. And that's the same for any of the cards they pick. Once you get down and split it, it just goes into their hand.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And then instead of flipping to the table, you just show the you will pick the in your hand.
So how do you reveal the cards?
So if they chose the circle right here, the in the hands version.
Yeah.
Then I just flip this over here and I show you will pick the.
Yeah, it's very
and
similar.
Then it's circle. So,
But if you have a table to work, I strongly recommend, throwing the cards. It just,
Yeah.
just be casual, like the way David showed you before. So you just make sure that you press, and then you just, you can just be casual,
And when you're handling the cards, remember where it's roughed at the top and bottom. So it's roughed on there pretty good, but just as a fail-safe, you just want to make sure if you're tossing the cards that you're genuinely touching them in the top or bottom area, because remember, the place that they're most vulnerable to split would be in the middle. Now, again, you can put more or less wax on over time. That we'll get into that a little more in maintenance. But just remember that they're least susceptible to split if you're touching the areas where they're roughed.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love this effect. I think you guys are really gonna love it too, just because of how visual, how strong it is. It has a kicker ending. It just packs so many moments of magic into a packet trick with seemingly just 5 cards that it's just one of my favorites in form. And it's really nice opener too, because it's quick, it's visual, and it just really gets to the point. And we also like the different colors here too.
Yeah,
it just makes
nice.
it a little more interesting. A lot of ESP cards are the same, black and white, monochrome colors.
The ending, it's unexpected. They don't expect the message on the cards.
Yeah.
Right.
So with that said, now that we understand the handling and how this all works, let's just get into some final maintenance and wrap this up. All right, I'd like to show you one additional handling that we both really like, that we were jamming with our buddy Nick Lacapo, and he suggested this, and we really like this because it's the same handling at the beginning, but then we sort of change it up and it's revealed differently, which I think also plays really strong.
Yeah.
So let's check this out here. So you start by saying that we have the symbols here, but look, I already know which one you're going to pick, and you really just want to emphasize that because that's kind of a callback to the end with you'll pick the, so I already know what you're going to pick, and we hammer that home. Then they choose any symbol they like. So let's say they chose the wavy lines here, right? The same as before where you reverse count, and we'll place this, instead of to the table, we split this here and it just goes to the top of the pack, okay? So you will pick this card. We take it in his hand and then place it on top. So now we're not going to reveal the back of this just yet. That's going to be saved for the end, because this time we have, remember, you will pick the. So we want to keep it in this order and place down, because you had a choice of any one of these symbols. And you can still throw these down because we want to emphasize, that it's just a single card. But now we say, here, look, you said, I knew what you were going to pick. Because on the back of the star, I wrote you. And on the back of the square, I wrote will. So remember, the orientation here, you do want to turn these over this way so they come out the same way. On the circle, I wrote pick. The, and now show here, dramatic turnover, wavy lines. So when you have this handling here, whereas before you show the odd one as a joke, and then you get the sort of uniform ones at the end. Now with the way that this one is structured, you build up and show the one different one as the climax. So the one that's different, the one that they chose, is now the big kicker at the end, instead of played off as a joke, and then the kicker is that the rest are different. Now we're sort of emphasizing this. So it's sort of the psychology and the way this is laid out. And again, this is something that Nick shared with us that we both really liked.
Yeah.
And you can also still get a joke out of this. So Nicholas, want to explain that if we just go back to this state here?
Yeah, sure.
So
you can do this. You say, you will pick the, and you point.
yes.
Now,
And say wavy lines.
wavy lines. And then you don't do anything. Let them, catch up on this.
Yeah.
And just stand like this, wait for them. And what? And they will say to you, can I turn over this card? Of
Yeah,
course
you're
you
leading
can.
them down the garden path.
Yeah,
and
and then they
boom.
will do this, and they will see this. So that's another variation, based on Nick's.
Yeah, so it's
That's-
2 ways to perform it. They both get good reactions, they're both strong, but it just sort of depends, and maybe you'll like to mix it up. So it's, again, the same setup, nothing else changes. It's just the way you reveal it is different, and that's one way we encourage you to try it out as well. All right, so really quickly, just for the maintenance section, these cards are going to last you a very long time, but with anything that requires some sort of wax or roughing, just by nature, over the course of time, you might have to reapply a little bit here and there. That's going to be with anything, even invisible decks, or you get the idea. So I just want to cover all our bases here. So let's say you needed to apply some more of the wax. So what you're going to do is you're going to split the card here. So let's say this one was our blue card with the roughed here. To start here, if you ever need to take the wax off, I just recommend getting a paper towel like this. Okay, and just fold it up so you just have a nice thick surface here, and put it against a hard surface. So right now it's on a close-up mat. I would actually put it on a table right here so it's on something hard, and you just rub back and forth. Just make sure you're holding the card at the edges and getting that in a firm grip, because you don't want to bend the card because you're putting some pressure on. This stuff will come off relatively easily, so just back and forth, and you can feel it with your fingers too. But I like to just clean it off there so we have a nice clean surface to work with. And now the card is untreated. And then you would just take your sex wax again, which, remember, we'll just put the link on the screen one more time. I think last I checked, this is $6 on Amazon. And I have used this so much over 2 years, and it's like still barely visible that I've even put a dent in it. So this really is a lifetime supply. And all you have to do is, it's very important, this is not a roughing stick. This stuff is extremely sticky. So I want you to keep in your mind that less is more, because if you apply this as you would a roughing stick, those are going to be like super glued together. That's how it's going to feel like. So what you're going to do is just very lightly in the center, just 2 strokes or 3 strokes like this. And then what you're going to want to do is take your finger and just sort of not smudge it in, but we just want to make sure that any of the little residue is gone. So we're just very gently pushing any of the wax around. So basically, if we see like a little clump where like a little ball of it got stuck on there, we don't want that.
Sometimes it gets stuck right here.
Yeah, so at the end, just run your finger across.
Do that.
And if you see like a little clump, you can even just pick your finger off. But we just want a little small coating there. That looks perfect. And then you can place it back in for the pair here. Also, press in and you're good.
I would recommend taking some old cards that you have and try that on
yes.
those cards, so you know exactly how much you should apply. Don't go immediately there. Just take 2 cards and try it on those.
Your ad cards, jokers, a throwaway deck, whatever it is, just try that out there.
Any David Jonathan trick that you don't use.
Yeah, any Nicholas Mavrasis crap that's in the bottom of your drawer, that'll be golden for this. Because I think this is something that was a really cool discovery. I mean, we're not the first to sort of discover this. Other people have used it before, but it's been kind of underground, this surf wax. So this will have lots of applications to use outside of this trick, so I'm sure you guys would enjoy it. So it is worth experimenting to make up other packet tricks this way or what have you. So that pretty much covers the maintenance and brings us to the end of this project. So first of all, I just want to thank you for purchasing this. Something we worked really hard and we're really proud to bring to the market. And if you can, please leave a review on Penguin's site. We read every single one of them, and it makes our day. So that really helps us out as well and lets others know that good magic is out there and what you guys recommend. And anything else?
Thanks so much for your support. We're really proud and hope to see you on the next one. Right?
Yeah, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of us on email or social media. We're not hard to find and be happy to help you there. But this has been Extrasensory Prediction, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, take care.
Take care.